sports.
Any bloodletting, you're into it.
That's right. Where did the gladiatorial games go? That's what I want. Now I have to get all my blood and violence digitally, Papa Smithy.
JinAir, they're the ones that are going to want to be avoiding the bloodletting and the violence this game as they just... Look, honestly, they kind of picked themselves into a corner. There wasn't really very much they could do when it came to trying to shut down a hyper carry like Vayne when they had such low backline threat. They're sticking with the same sort of bans, though it's KOO focused once again. Varus and Victor, the first bans from JinAir.
Kalista has to be banned out this time by the KOO Tigers, so at least that'll free up a ban here for JinAir now that they're on the blue side. What is it going to be? LeBlanc,
Rise,
Gragas, still up, Rise still up, all bans in the last game. This time KOO really changing up their strategy.
Worth noting that KOO were the ones that banned Rise on the blue side last game, so maybe just Smeb not wanting to take that champion. They do ban it away here, so obviously Trace been practicing that in solo queue. There's a lot up.
I think that they let Rise through for KT, the KOO Tigers, and they did shut it down with that Rumble, but the fact that Someday nearly killed Smeb's 2-0 and 2 Abyssal Scepter Rumble at 8 minutes probably gave them a bit of pause about, is this likely to happen again, and do we want to take that risk?
Wouldn't think they needed too much more free information on the power of Rise on patch 5.10, but yes, highlight-worthy clip, and just kind of summarize how strong Rise is on this patch and moving into 5.11. So I see seeing plenty of Rise bans, and it does free up champions to come through. There's quite a lot that escapes the picks and bans. A lot of mid lane bans last game, only the 2 this time around, so LeBlanc, notably, is available in the pool.
Yeah, will KOO go for it? I think he has to take it right here. GBM also a very good LeBlanc player. Maokai and the LeBlanc picked up for KOO. Very confident in Smeb's ability on that champion, and with his MVP performance, who can blame him? Rek'Sai, Chaser's kind of go-to jungler these days. Grab first. Again, Chaser, a player who really can make very strong plays early on the map, start to snowball his lanes. Great ganker. Didn't have a lot of luck last time on the champion, especially that early gank where his team dropped the ball a little bit.
Surprising to see, though, with Sejuani available, and again, a very good record in that champion this season, still not looking to engineer a comp for the Sejuani to work, going back to the Rek'Sai despite not having that big undefeated record on the champion, such as the priority. Picking up LeBlanc, and of course one of the strongest champions at dealing with LeBlanc, as EDG showed back at MSI, the Maokai, is a really nice 2-1 fix, especially with Alster not available in the pool.
And the Sivir with the Spell Shield will be the response. And Rumble once more for JinAir. I mean, they've got 3 of the same 5 picks they had last game. Difference is, how are they going to blind pick this mid lane with perhaps the Ezreal coming up right there? A lot of poke, actually. Perhaps for the KOO Tigers. Corki would be perfectly serviceable here as well.
I like the fact that there's real identity to the picks. Of course, JinAir go with a very strong early game jungler. LeBlanc is the answering pick and the champion that deals with LeBlanc, and then Sivir actually has a lot of synergy against the Rumble. When you have Sivir, you can just pop on the hunt so much harder to get those extra ticks of damage, so kind of equalizing picks on both sides. Evelynn are going once again for the early game. It worked last time, and honestly, a lot of similarity from KOO.
Yeah, the only pick they've changed out so far is that LeBlanc for the Cassiopeia, and then again, we're looking at 2 very heavy damage mages in that mid lane, and LeBlanc also going to be able to do a lot of work with a strong front line when she has that protection to pop back behind. Also really good flank threat from LeBlanc as well as Evelynn and Maokai. So even a better pick comp than they had last game, as well as some pretty good team fighting capabilities. They may want to lock down with this Annie here, but running Lulu is another very early game focused composition, very SK Telecom-esque. The Lulu-Sivir combination for that speed, for that pick capability, but I don't really know if you're going to be able to make that many picks against the KOO Tigers. You really have to focus out this Vayne.
Once again, it's going to be a comp that's focused around objective control, which they failed at last game. They needed to control objectives with the Rumble, fell behind in lane, then could never get in with the Dragon Race. They go for the Lulu. Actually a 27 KDA 2-0 for GBM this season. And of course, traditionally, we all remember his, I believe, 1000 AP game on Lulu. He's a very good Lulu player, but Lulu Sivir, very execution heavy, very early game focused to the comp. Gorilla returns to the Karma, which we saw wonderful things from last game. They're all in on objectives again, Monte Cristo.
That's right. And this kind of composition, the Lulu-Sivir combination with a very heavy pick support like Annie, the only team that has impressed me with this is SK Telecom because it's very finicky. It all depends on your vision, your ability to show up at Dragon first, and then as everyone is starting on the enemy team to come to that objective, just running to one flank and quickly killing somebody and then taking the objective afterwards because you just can't fight 5v5 with this composition. And now that we see Gorilla's Karma coming back in, there's a lot of shields, a lot of boosts. This 5v5 from the KOO Tigers is going to be much, much stronger come the late game. So JinAir, like you said, they have that priority in the mid game. They need to make some sort of play, but I'm just not, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it after what they saw in the last one.
I guess the big question, we'll learn more about this Karma pick. Will the speed from the shielding be enough, the Mantra E be enough to disengage from Sivir Lulu, potential Annie initiation coming through? They've got to stack the speed on the side of JinAir, Sivir Ultimate, Lulu Whimsy. We're still learning about the new Karma on patch 5.10, and Gorilla made us a believer with game 1. It's a different identity here. It's not so much more about laning, it's about that speed.
Well, let's get into the game, see if JinAir can execute this time or whether KOO can last him out. JinAir fans out in force today.
Lots of wind in the sails despite losing that first game. So it's good to see that the fans are still here. No fair weather fans at this Youngstown Sports Stadium.
No one would ever actually accuse a JinAir fan of being fair weather.
The weather's never really gone their way, has it?
No one would ever say that. Actually, one of the few organizations in Korea that hasn't won a season here.
IM as well?
Well, yes, the long-suffering IM. Bring them into this. I don't think JinAir really wants to be conflated with IM. They have been doing better recently, of course. JinAir Stealth's really picking it up towards the end of last year, and then JinAir for most of the season in spring up until Cinderhulk being a major threat.
I have to think this game is all about Chaser. Chaser's the one that we singled out during the pre-game. Of course, 500 MVP points, been a very large contributor for his team on an early pressure jungler. Couldn't make it happen last game, but he has these kind of tenuous lanes. We already talked about Rumble Maokai. Smep had a 40 to 50 CS advantage in lane after early gank pressure from Wizen on this same Evelynn. We're seeing the same top half of the map, actually. Rumble Rek'Sai against the Maokai Evelynn, and can something change? It feels like it's very jungler focused, and Chase is the man that's really been leading JinAir when they have picked up their wins.
Absolutely. And this Vayne Karma lane, not really sold by this one. A bit of a mismatch. Usually we see that support Karma come in when there is a poking AD carry for more synergy, and we saw Gorilla. He's going to be the first player that I know of to play this support Karma since the big Karma changes that did make her very powerful. You know, Papa, you and I were talking about this support Karma before the game today, and Trace gonna get close to dying at those wolves, but let's talk about new Karma.
Okay.
You wanna chat about her, because a lot of people may not know some of the changes that were made and why she is now suddenly better in the support role.
So basically, they shifted her away from having, I mean, Karma originally, with her original kit, was all about being a solo lane champion. People would try her in the support role, but didn't really have the kit for it. And really this rework, the latest iteration, is to basically remove damage from all abilities apart from the Q. The Q still hits like a truck. Everyone remembers walking to lane in a 2v2 lane and Karma doing, what, 50% of your health with a mantra Q. That hasn't changed, but basically all damage removed from the shield and a lot more utility focus. W still does damage as Wisdom actually smites away the Scuttle Crab there to pick up vision. The root, basically the mantra root and the mantra shield are where the big changes have come. The shield has a 420 base value at highest level, which is massive. The highest base shield in the whole game, even higher than, of course, the shield that Echo has, that, of course, a lot of people have raised their ire at. And the base root, the amount of CC that they have on that W, Mantra W at highest level, 3.25 second CC. Longer than a Morgana binding.
Yeah, it's a huge CC, and Captain Jack not quite getting the worst end of it right there. And it is worth noting that Gorilla at his last game wasn't prioritizing that shield, but it is an option. And come the ultra late game, it is another protective ability to help Prey out and is incredibly strong even with very little AP.
So the lane we saw Gorilla play this in was Corki and Karma, which of course is a lane bullying lane. But it was also in a lane swap in that situation. So you walk bottom lane with one of the lowest pressure laners, someone who needs a bit of babysitting in the Vayne, with someone with a lot of lane pressure. And Gorilla, in this particular lane, basically has to do enough harass through the auto attacks and maxing the Q and doing the max damage to just kind of open up space for Prey to farm, because in sustained poke wars, you have to give it to Captain Jack and Che.
Yeah, definitely. Well, also the passive changes to the mantra as well, those auto attacks and spells reducing the cooldown, meaning that the more Rs you get, also a major factor in Karma's presence in the laning phase. So this is a support that probably is going to see more use, not only here in Korea, but around the world. I think it actually is a very interesting pick right now and adds quite a bit. So I look forward to seeing more of her, but looks like Gorilla really keying in on that first. JinAir, GBM, going to find himself dancing around the minions. Can't chain him when there's something in between him and the LeBlanc.
That was really cute play. Ring Around the Rosie was played around that minion backline and meant the Wisdom could never enter lane, was literally waiting for the chains to land before committing to that mid lane gank. Che obviously very aggressive here, looking for any stuns. No turret dive threat just yet.
No, they're just looking to, oh, nice, actually waiting out the spell shield right there. That's a lot of damage coming through as there's Prey actually flashing forward. There's another flash from Gorilla. First blood to Prey after he lands that chain actually get stunned into the wall as Chaser wants to turn this one around. Chilling Smite onto Gorilla. Gorilla may, in fact, bite the dust right here. He will go down inside the brush, but impressive all-in right there from the KOO Tigers, and that's the power of this route now with Gorilla hitting that chain after the spell shield had gone down.
I believe you cannot spell shield after the chain has already hit you. It's one of those weird interactions where you go for that late spell shield, it didn't block anything and then just got DPS down. Smart, aggressive use of both the heal and flash to chase. So very nice play from Prey. Vayne Karma doesn't sound like a synergistic lane, but they already have this advantage. And when you bring and innovate a new champion like Gorilla has done with this Karma, people just aren't as experienced playing against it. You don't see a lot of Karma in solo queue. That might change, but when you bring something that's a bit different, you can get not necessarily cheese kills, but you just get people out of their comfort zone and snowball a lane that really has no business winning.
Yeah, I too am surprised that this lane was able to pick up that early solo kill, and I do think that you're right. It's a factor that Captain Jack just doesn't have that same comfort of Karma's abilities and Karma's new kit and the changes to it that have gone down. I think right now it's probably very easy to miscalculate the frequency with which the mantra is up these days, and then therefore underestimate the damage output and the crowd control output. There's a Q. Just clear out the wave right now. And one thing that Karma is great at, too, is providing some wave clear for this Vayne in the early game. It really is helping Prey CS as we see Gorilla go through and use those abilities. So I see that so far.
On a super simple level, it's great to see KOO innovating again. You mentioned during picks and bans, Kuro was the one who innovated the Victor picks and, of course, drew Victor bans very early in the season. Last season, again, drawing Victor bans now. They were also the Juggermore innovators. Now bringing out a support pick that's just recently been changed, literally just enabled 5.10 this week in the Korean seed and showing us something different and so far been very effective. Let's actually go back a long way. When Sivir was first in the meta, when Sivir was first an auto pick because of the power of her ultimate, one of the first initial counter picks was support Karma to give movement speed, to just lessen the impact of the on the hunt, and that fact hasn't changed.
Yeah, definitely hasn't, and will be a major factor in terms of how the KOO Tigers can play out the late game and kite the very dangerous composition that the JinAir Green Wings are fielding here. So, GBM and Kuro just going at it in the mid lane. Not a lot of kill pressure for a LeBlanc against a Lulu, of course. You try and all-in that, and you just get the wild growth, and that's about it. Chaser is sweeping across right now, making his presence known on that mid side. Not a lot of deep wards in yet for JinAir. Meanwhile, Wisdom just took a trip through the enemy jungle to get some vision. Kuro just happy to farm up at the moment. Quietly, Smeb is accrued quite a CS lead in the top side, actually.
It's not the 40 of last game, but as you mentioned, 18 CS. There's the power of Smeb. First in solo queue 2 days ago. Now I believe 6th. So just it's so close in the rankings. It feels like just one win is enough to catapult you up 3 or 4 spots if you're in that top 10.
I can't remember the last time that I saw Korean solo queue this competitive among the pro players. Like the pro players, because of course they are also having a lot of scrims every day, so they don't frequently have enough time, as even some of their bench players, to get up into those upper ranks of solo queue. But right now, it is just loaded, the top 50, with pro players, and I really think this is them reacting to the increasingly competitive scene here in Korea. They're gearing up for the end of the world and the World Championships, really wanting to do well in this summer season, and it seems like people have, on an individual level, really doubled down since the spring.
And despite growing to those 10 teams, you accurately put out that the scene's also gotten more competitive in terms of bottom teams like Samsung, who were basically looked at as free wins and padding stats last season, putting out more of a fight, not necessarily picking up the wins, but at least forcing more 3-game series. The 3-game series, much more common in summer than it was in spring.
And that's important because it matters, the margin of victory. When we talk about points, these are critical tiebreakers that could occur, that could mean the difference between going to the playoffs and having to sit out for a long offseason.
Vayne been very competitive in CS. The early kill and just the lane presence that Karma's brought, bringing really high lane presence poke champion with no sustain with a weak laner often is a big risk, but when it pays off, the high risk, high reward decision, at least as it looks at right now when Karma support is still a very new pick, is helping Prey stay on even keel with Captain Jack.
And this is, again, really important because KOO looking for that scaling. So for them to get the first blood and even a little bit of an advantage and to go even in terms of CS is quite good for them this early in the game. Now, JinAir may be aiming to make some sort of play around the dragon right here, but no, they're just going to back off. Chaser was there to provide coverage while KOO actually, well, right, sorry,
That's
I lost
okay.
my train of thought right there.
I mean, JinAir has the comp that makes you think they're going to monopolize Dragon. They have
Yes.
Rumble, Rek'Sai, Lulu, Siva. That's so much early power. Annie for the big Tibbers engaged. You think the vision would also extend this thought, but the vision around Dragon is very much monopolized by KOO. They're the ones that have had the pressure in the air. They have 3 pink wards in a triangle around Dragon and their buffs. For a team comp that's looking to take things early and not want to drag this in late when we're going to see a super tank in Maokai that they have no answer for in the JinAir lineup, and just a hyper carry like Vayne, to play so passively around this Dragon seems like just a big surprise to me.
Yeah, definitely. And they have to start pushing forward right now and making an aggressive play. Lots of people loading up. TP coming into the bottom side. Jay gets locked up with that root, immediately stapled to the wall, and he's going to die very quickly. Smeb on the flank, just providing some interference on the side right now. This should be a dragon in favor of the KOO Tigers as Che gets absolutely destroyed. A little bit too far forward right there. Looks like they want a tower first. How much of an advantage can the Tigers get out of this situation?
I see Lulu aggressively pushing into mid, but not going to be able to pick up that turret anytime soon. JinAir keeps picking proactive comps and then playing reactionary. Did not pick up a dragon with a very similar comp last game. Looks like they're not going to be in with a shout of this first dragon either. Why not look for the late game with a more late game oriented comp if you're not confident enough to take the fights in the early game?
Yeah, they're not going to give up their mid lane turret either. Gorilla and Kuro peeling off the dragon just a little bit early to provide some presence in the mid lane, and they'll clear out the minion wave, and that's it. So tower, kill, dragon, all going in favor of the KOO Tigers right now. JinAir has to get this top and mid turret soon. They did do some good chip damage, but they need to convert it into gold to make that worthwhile.
Standing gold is so important when your power spikes are early. You need that gold instantly so you have the extra ruby crystal, the extra finished recipe into a big item. Because if you're just sitting on component parts and aren't even able to take advantage of the comp that you've picked, you'll be sitting in the late game, you'll be GBM last game where you're 3-0-4 and watching your team fall apart. There's always the reality that GBM could not die this whole series and his team could lose 2-0.
Well, welcome to JinAir. That's what I got for you, Papa Smithy. I'm used to seeing this. You will learn. You will learn in time.
Maybe that's why they go to the Yasuos of the world. Maybe Echo will be one of their favorite picks when that's enabled next week, because you just can't pick like this and play passively. What are you waiting for? Because the late game, Maokai, Vayne, it should tell you that the late game is not your friend.
No, it's not. And again, we talked about the necessity of grouping first around these objectives with the composition that JinAir has and the importance of controlling the vision, because at the heart right now of this composition is the fact that it is a pick comp. You use the Lulu and the Sivir speed with the Annie to create a pick before you fight. Smeb just going to tank this turret right now. KOO committing to the top side while Captain Jack was slowly pushing up that bottom wave. He got a CS advantage and he will trade turret. So actually, due to the long wait time when KOO was trying to set the trap in the top side, this actually resulted in an advantage for the JinAir Green Wings. It was a smart play. They bought some time to really engineer a nice CS advantage on Jack and trade turret for turret.
Hey, look, they get a small advantage, but they're not looking for small advantage. They need big advantages. You can see from the Leandries completed by Trace, already gone for a very strong equalizer-focused build. If they build items like this with big immediate power that don't necessarily set them up to do, say, backline diving, instead of finishing Leandries, you could pick up the Seeker's Arm Guard and work towards Azonius, for example. You could just get your Sorcerer's Shoes and have double magic penetration, do more damage with your other abilities. If you're going to commit to an equalizer-focused build, surely that has to be parlayed into fighting at a dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, time's running out for JinAir. They need to move on to this next dragon and see they can pull it out. Meanwhile, KOO Tigers very comfortable at the moment. Have that Blade of the Ruined King. First core items coming down for them right now. Smeb just happy to put off purchasing that earlier Righteous Glory in favor of a Spectre's Cowl, and who can blame him? The better he can do in lane right now, if he's going to be matching up against that Rumble, the more of an advantage he can take.
Exactly. He doesn't even need to build for team fights because he's just building for lane and crushing the lane anyway.
And they have a Karma. So the speed boost just not as necessary this game because they get that from other places. Jack up in front right now. There are a lot of JinAir players. Gorilla going to have to use that speed boost, but he gets caught by the Timbers and taken out. Great play. JinAir very decisively going all in. Trace on the other side of the map. Smeb getting burned down here by this Rumble. It looks like he will be able to get out, but another tower for JinAir. KOO trying to be cute in the top side, and that results in a nice play as they continue rolling through this turret. JinAir starting to take control back of this game. This is exactly what they need.
They have such crazy turret damage. You can see Captain Jack wailing away. The Tibbers even being helpful means the clumped wave has done so many more autos because the minions haven't been dying. They're actually going for the engage, and KOO is coming from behind. Praise falling low.
Popping his ult Wisdom there with the Agony's Embrace. KOO in from the flank. Captain Jack gets chained and then chained again for the kill. Bray mops it up with an auto attack. Che now trying to get a double stun, does land the W, and KOO, though, with one more auto, will take out Che as well. So they get the tier 2 for it. Honestly, probably worth it for JinAir.
Yeah, probably worth it, as you mentioned. It was a good aggressive Tibbers by Che to get the first pick onto Gorilla, turning that into 2 turrets. They desperately need that instant gold to get their power spikes rolling. So yeah, I would definitely take it. This should be another turret going down. Suddenly, they're going to find themselves in a gold. It's very slender. It's only 1,000 gold. But with dragons spawning in a minute, they have the slight lead. They have items. Infinity Edge Zeal up on Sivir. Even just a crit to any of the frontline members. There's no armor purchase whatsoever on KOO's side. If RNG is in their favor, they could poke them out and finally pick up their first dragon of the series.
Yeah, this is going to be a very important fight. Trace, his ultimate will be available. So will everyone's on the JinAir side. So let's see what they can do. They don't have a good setup yet in terms of warding, and the bottom wave moving towards JinAir right now, although that will be cleared out quite quickly by Captain Jack Sivir. So very competitive game this time around. Great moves by JinAir on the map to seize control once again. KOO trying to get some free damage, see if he can poke someone out, maybe force the wild growth if he's lucky.
We've talked about that choke many a time. You do not want to try and clear a ward when the enemy mid laner is an assassin like LeBlanc in that particular area. It's not going to take the bait. KOO, there's a ward, I believe, right on the dragon pit. So.
Yeah, there is right in the back right there. They know there's a ward in front of the dot brush as well, but they're not going to take it out quite yet. They're trying to lay a bit of a trap right there. Gorilla on ward clearing duties at the moment.
Chaser has an item advantage. He's actually a sight stone up on his opponent. Has gone for the Cinderhawk instead of Warrior. So the early damage advantage is there for Wisdom. Crucially, though, Chaser's level 11. In this case, only going to be base stats because Ultimate, no combat stats coming through from the Void Rush.
Nope. Well, JinAir, they need to get a pick, but they don't have the priority on that dragon right now. Speed Shrine for the KOO Tigers. They may try and make a play on the mid lane, actually. Prey slowly clearing out the bottom side. So JinAir says it's time to go for a tier 2 right now instead. Now, Prey a little bit awkwardly positioned in this fight, even though there's a flank coming in with the teleport. Prey gonna pop his ultimate, and they find Trace. Big open arc here for KOO. They're trying to finish off, and the Tibbers air balls not hitting anyone at all. Great fight for the KOO Tigers. That's exactly where they want to be, with Prey starting to split people up on the side. Trace is poked out. Trace has TP, Trace still has Equalizer, and he's going to get right back into this fight, TPing onto a Rek'Sai tunnel.
And the big cooldown is the Equalizer. They're going to actually start this dragon. Only one order. They're going to move quickly. They're looking for the pick on Trace.
Yeah, there's the Equalizer, and that's going to actually prevent the follow-on. KOO getting very low, and he nearly gets burned down, but does escape in the end. So nice decisive play from the Tigers, collapsing onto a flank with that speed, but it's not going to be enough. GBM is going to, actually Trace gets the kill right there as KOO has to retreat into the enemy turret. The Tigers are pushed off. Can JinAir actually get this dragon? Looks like they will be able to.
Yeah, very, very healthy across the board. Literally no one's taking any chip damage, barring a couple of 100 health from Trace. First dragon of the series, so crucial for these Lulu Civicoms that are looking for those outplays with their movement speed. Finally got the pick they needed, and were able to take this dragon down. So first dragon of the game for JinAir.
Really good Equalizer, too, from Trace, knowing that they were trying to play with the Mantrad speed onto the flank of JinAir, and then being decisive about clogging a choke so he could just stand there in melee range of that LeBlanc and toast her with the Flame Spitter. So JinAir doing a good job this game of coming back. Still, they don't have the lead they're going to need to take it to the late game here. They have to keep on this trajectory.
To be fair to JinAir, they played team fights very similar in the last game. They tried to back away to advantageous terrain for the Rumble to fight on with the Equalizer, those narrow chokes. They just weren't taking the bait. This time you're on the LeBlanc, you hit the chains, you feel like you're going to have burst potential, but you're just surprised by the Leandri's Sorcerer's Shoes damage. So that time, it was KOO initiating and getting punished for it. Will they keep doing that? Because the trend in the first game was no. They did not take the bait in that first game, and it paid off handsomely. But still, first dragon of the series is a crucial factor for JinAir.
Definitely is, and KOO still a little bit low on the damage side too this early on, especially with some Aegises coming out on both sides. So he's going to need a little bit more if he wants to get that burst onto Trace's Rumble, as we may have some split pushing going down right here. Smeb finally getting some armor as well to help deal with this Sivir and the strength that Captain Jack has so far in this game.
It's definitely not the Smeb that was 50 CS up. It's been a lot closer. Just cleared awards, waves, so now up to 20 CS. But it's been hovering around the 10 CS advantage when they've both been in lanes. That's much more in the favor of this Rumble being able to actually take advantage of his natural mid-game power spike.
And look at this, just traps being laid all over the map, trying to convince JinAir to walk into either Prey and Gorilla or Wisdom and KOO. They want to get that big pick and then push down some turrets right now. They still haven't been able to crack the tier 1 in the mid lane.
But JinAir has such wonderful wards around their blue side and moving towards the red side jungle of KOO. It'll be kind of an unforced error to walk anywhere where they didn't have vision. They have so many camps and, of course, minions to pick up in lane that there's no incentive for them to go to their red side jungle. So, look, if they keep fighting around the areas they have vision in, they have the warding totems, they have this double side stone, just follow your vision with a really aggressive flash. Tibbers instantly kills Prey, and that should be a turret.
And that's how you play this composition. Use that Sivir ult, use the Whimsy and the hard CC to take somebody out, and then immediately transition into an objective. They're after Smeb next. Smeb gonna flash the wall, and GBM wrapping around the side right here, chilling Smite. Will it be enough? Gorilla there to give him the protection, but Chaser with the knock-up, and that'll be a dead tree taken down with the equalizer there to provide a little zone to make sure they get the kill. So 2 picks back-to-back for JinAir, and they're starting to pull away.
And KOO got surprised by the fact that they could take such an aggressive route through the enemy jungle, because of course they'd already taken down those 2 outer turrets. They could cut through the red buff side of the jungle rather than necessarily having to go the safe route, because they had already taken out the turrets. So smart movements from JinAir, moving around their wards. Speaking of wards, Gorilla spotted out in one, but the recalls have to come through from the other members of JinAir.
And there have been so many attempted traps from KOO this game, trying to hide in brushes, trying to get those picks. But JinAir has been playing cautiously. They've been playing around their vision, not taking risks in dark sides of the map. So without that, the Tigers just haven't been there. They're going to respond right now up the mid lane with the tower, and that'll get them to within about 2,000 gold right now. Of course, late game advantage is theirs, so not too big of a deal to be this far behind. Che could have had, well, he doesn't have Timbers up right now, but a little bit dangerous for KOO to be standing there. Wisdom slinking through the enemy jungle.
In general, being grouped by KOO is not a good thing. They have a lot of speed coming out from the Karma. In general, their position should be Smeb at the front looking for that twisted advance, and just don't group those threats, because 2 3-man Tibbers with the massive burst damage that Captain Jack can put out just on the Sivers natural kit. It's burst that JinAir have aplenty, so stay away from the grouping.
Well, if they can find that pick, though, off of one of these brushes, then they're going to be in a very good position. But yeah, it is dangerous, because even that ward, if Che is the one warding, he could just hit R instantly and catch you out. So pretty risky. It's kind of who can burst who first. And there we go, Chilling Smite. Gorilla has to flash. Chaser forcing that summoner. Now, they did set up the wave. Smeb in the top side, so that's a slow push that he developed. Trying to use their wave control again to provide them with a victory. The KOO Tigers exceptional in that department.
50 seconds left until Dragon. For once, KOO does not have vision around the edge. Completely dark vision around the Dragon. It's pretty neutral in general. Only just now some JinAir wards coming down. But KOO, who've monopolized Dragons, I believe it was 5-1 is the Dragon score overall in this series. Looking around Baron, they don't crucially have the likes of Cassiopeia Vayne, so they do not have super Baron damage. Still going to be very fast, but it's not quite the immediate threat of blue buff Cassiopeia leaving vision. Suddenly Baron could be done at any moment.
Well, still the Vayne is on the team, though, and it is 26 minutes into the game. And there we go. There is the speed boost. They want to chase down Chaser, but he's going to escape with his tunnel. That was not too much used just to get that down right now. And KOO is delaying this Dragon by threatening the Baron. They don't really want to fight. They just want JinAir to have to play around their decisions as opposed to getting that Dragon. And we've seen this bait from KOO. They did this in the last game too. Force them at the Baron, force them to try and face check or be concerned. You're doing it, and there we go. There is a Vayne ultimate right there. Jack gonna pop his ult immediately. GBM finds himself right in the mix though, and KOO will respond with a pick of their own. Smeb coming in from the flank, and this should be a Dragon.
It was a really smart just separation of their engage options there. Smeb on one side of the brush, the rest of the team on the other. Sivir caught out. GBM's the one that ends up falling. So they're going to take the second Dragon, making JinAir play reactionary when they have the later game power spike and JinAir have the early game power spike. The fact that they can make this work is masterful by KOO.
And this is, again, their strength. We saw them do this already tonight.
Yeah.
When the Dragon's coming up, when they feel that they don't necessarily have the power spike or the advantage, they will make the enemy team respect their ability to do Baron with this Vayne, and then get that control, which JinAir really isn't looking for. They were the ones setting up for Dragon right there, and they forced this decision where, well, if we use the vision we have, then maybe we lose Baron. So now we're forced to go in and check out this Baron buff in a very dark, scary place. When KOO has a lot of pick options, they have the speed as well. They have an invisible jungler, and they have a LeBlanc who can blow you up over a wall. So that threat alone forces JinAir to make hasty decisions, miss position, and then KOO strikes and gets the Dragon anyway. They don't want the Baron right now, but that is really good job of KOO Tigers forcing a bad decision on their opponents. And what can JinAir do, really?
Yeah, they're thinking a few moves ahead is what KOO are doing, which is a sign of one of these top teams. It's something that teams like IM have really struggled with, but KOO making it work this game. And honestly, both of us have taken shots at teams over picking champions like Vayne. Cassiopeia, one of the reasons she's so popular, she has a lot of Baron threat. The one thing you can say about Vayne, okay, short range, not the best at turret sieging, very good at taking down Barons. So just one of those two enough to threat, but the Flash Tibbers.
Yeah, Flash Tibbers. Jay wants this. He's going to melt in the front line. Good equalizer, though. KOO is on the outside. He's already had his shadow popped right there. Smeb just doing some zoning work. Chaser coming back in. Gorilla looking for that tether onto the jungler. Has to break it. Wisdom running out of the fight. KOO, oh, very low. Distortion away, and that will be a one-for-one trade. However, JinAir still very healthy. There's the flash forward. Captain Jack going aggressive. He gets the double kill onto Prey, and they're still committing to this. Gorilla caught out for a triple. Smeb has to flash the Dragon Wall. Now, can JinAir turn this into a Baron? Chaser tried to delay Smeb. Arcane Smash. Now Smeb needs to get back, and he has to be able to use his teleport right here. Chaser can't win this 1v1, but he can delay enough for his team to perhaps do the Baron.
It looks like they're being indecisive. GBM just walked away from it.
This
now
is so dangerous. LeBlanc is back to full HP. Can come over the wall. Still a lot of HP, though,
all
for JinAir.
Available as well. 5,000 health
TP,
is the Baron.
coming in. KOO on the flank right now. Can he get it? Can he do something? No. The Baron taken by the time Smeb gets there. JinAir pulling it out, and a stun from Che. There'll be a kill. Captain Jack running up as well. Tossing out a boomerang blade. Smeb should be able to get away. Already used his Righteous Glory. There's a slow. And he's going to W to an awkward minion wave. And then back onto Trace right here. They want to go in, actually. Prey can't really do much at all. Wisdom pops the locket, but there's just not enough people right now as Jack gets another double.
Captain Jack slicing through these low armor, low health members. Very squishy outside of the Maokai. Is this KOO lineup? They're going to take this turret. They took down the Baron with an assertive move. This is the sort of play that we saw SKTT1 play when they used this sort of comp, and they're doing their best impression here, and it's working out.
Yeah, make those picks before 30 minutes. Try and get that gold lead. Try and get those objectives. And JinAir now with a 6K gold advantage. GBM returning to his Medjai's Lulu roots, 11 stacks. Coming for that item, and up to 692, it would appear.
682 according to my monitors. There are some more monitors, as you often mention. What does 682 AP mean? Well, she has a 5-second, 98% steroid, I believe, in the movement speed. You know, I've talked to you many times about how I feel about Whimsy. It's obviously the cornerstone of the Juggernaut previously. You activate that ability. Sivir gets her first auto, activates the Fleet of Foot passive as well. You're going to be really damn quick around the Rift.
Yep. And that's what we're seeing right now. So KOO, a little bit too late to actually make a play at that Baron. Good delay by Chaser. Nets his team the objective. And now they're on the defensive with not the world's best wave clear. And Captain Jack is absolutely massive.
Speeding along at 618 MS, casually.
And now JinAir are looking to close out this game. Eyes on the tier 2. Smeb push out the top side, but they have no way to defend outside of their base right now. KOO Tigers falling back, see what they can do. But Jack just waltzing up to KOO, getting an auto attack off, has so many shields as well. Not a lot of concern.
They're going to spot Rek'Sai in the top lanes, and maybe there's that small window to get a really fast assertive pick, but those have completely eluded KOO this game. 1-2-2 on the LeBlanc. First round pick of the LeBlanc on the red side. But, you know, very defensive mid laner in Lulu that plays to GBM's strength. Mentioned 27 KDA on this champion and always been a strong Lulu player. We weren't convinced that JinAir Green Wings would pull off this comp, and after how they played an early Power Spike comp last game, I don't think anyone could blame us. The addition of the Lulu and the Annie for the assertive engage has given them so much more this game.
Yeah, it definitely has. And now they should have a relatively easy time finishing off these inhibitor turrets. Nobody up to help with Chaser. Baron no longer on the side of JinAir, though.
Chaser just able to free hit. No one being sent to deal with him. Of course, Smeb doesn't have teleport. And the Void Rush is available. Now you can see the turret damage being done in bottom lane. About 30% health left on the turret. The poke, it's still strong from Trace, onto Trace, but half health, they're still going to be able to continue the siege.
Yeah, no real big threats. And they're just going to pull off and do a dragon. This is smart by JinAir. They have what they want. They have control of this game. And they don't have a great composition for diving right here.
There's nobody to tank the turrets. The only person building armor is the Warden's mail that's been completed on Chaser. So turret diving, difficult. You could argue that the Wild Growth might be used to turret dive. There would be at least a large health pool. Chaser caught out stealing red, but if that's the one advantage that KOO can wrestle back, they'll accept that of your JinAir.
Yeah. And now JinAir right back to it. No actual movement to recall right now, but have KOO been caught with their pants down. There's no one here to defend. Captain Jack making a lot of headway. That's going to be the turret going down, and no follow-up engage from KOO. They blow the Righteous Glory.
Righteous Glory used, actually the On the Hunt used as well, but they'd gotten their objective. They were able to back away. They've broken the base. That's the key factor here for the JinAir Green Wings. The minions actually spot out and stop the backs, but GBM happy to just stack up that AP. Are we going to see another 1,000 AP game? Maybe not. The game going to be going long enough for it, but he's threatening it with the build that he's going.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. I didn't think this was a comp that the JinAir Green Wings would be likely to run ever. In spite of their previous Lulu play, this just didn't seem to suit their style, considering that when we talk about JinAir, it's usually much more of a patient, poking, disengaged style that we see from them, not a pick-oriented, heavy, all-in style. So fun to see them do so well with it. And Jack definitely performing in terms of his positioning here in this game.
Drew a lot of his plaudits in history for his Sivir players, spell shields, his use of cleanse, and those sort of abilities. Been a traditionally strong champion. Prey caught out, chilling smite, but not quite enough to catch that vein.
Gorilla going to help him get out of harm's way right there. Did have to use his blade active, though, so that's one less tool for self-peel that he has in the late game.
Do not have a pink ward on their flank. Can Wisdom pull off a huge flank? He's in a wonderful position to do so, but they need to be so specific with their target selection here if you're the KOO Tigers.
Yeah, and there is Trace. They see him now, I believe, on the side. Difficult to tell, actually, whether he was, he was seen right there. So he has to retreat back into his base, and this is a much more preferential position for JinAir that just wants only one direction, only one vector of engage to deal with.
They just want the single pick. They're happy to fight the 5v4. The 5v5 team fights could be difficult. They don't have the best backline damage. Prey and Captain Jack actually dueling. Captain Jack so low. Flash Tibbers.
And Prey's not going to go down. The QSS will save him, but a boomerang blade hits him in the back line. KOO Tigers still going in right there. A lot of damage. Trace getting low, but Captain Jack huge right now. Wild Growth and running forward for the triple kill. And that should be it for this one.
They still have a lot of turret damage available. LeBlanc, crucially, is at full health, so they might be enough to harangue them away from the Nexus turrets. 4 members, though. Rumble can choose to teleport back in, or they could choose the safe route. JinAir, they have all the options this game.
Yeah, I think they should just power through right now. They have the minion waves. There's the, probably could have waited longer to TP onto a turret target right there, but Trey's still moving forward with those home guard boots, and that's going to be JinAir on the Nexus as they send us to a Game 3. Very decisive play from JinAir.
And credit to JinAir playing a comp that we weren't necessarily immediately convinced by, especially given their previous playstyle. KOO staying with much the same, but just outthought by JinAir. They changed their playstyle. The Lulu in particular and the speed just got them the picks they needed to take over the mid game.
And Lulu too, actually. GBM building a QSS that game, got some magic resist, and that made him able to position better for Captain Jack. Captain Jack doing a lot that game, 10 kills for his team, but that's how this composition should work. That's where all the kills should be going. You need to make that Sivir strong so she can maximize her damage.
Just justifying the Lulu pick with stacking AP and then just being there to speed up Captain Jack. It's good that they're able to put together a comp like this and win, and JinAir making this a series